News of climate change these days rarely offers a silver lining, rarely gives the sense that actions we can take will make a meaningful impact. So allow me to introduce you to the hopeful work of Mothers Out Front, a group that began just early last year in Boston and has since planted chapters across the state, including one here in Arlington. With me to discuss this important work is one of the leaders of Arlington's chapter, Ann Goodwin. Welcome, Ann.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me. Let's go right to the why. It certainly seems as if there are a number of groups already working to try and tackle climate change, certainly some that are household names, Sierra Club, Greenpeace, 350.org. What particular void did the founders of Mothers Out Front feel needed to be filled by a group like yours?
Well, I think what they felt was missing was the mother's voice in climate change. So Mothers Out Front was founded by Kelsey Worth and Vanessa Rule, who are two local women who were already very involved in the climate change movement in 350 and in other ways, who began to look at each other and say, where are the rest of us? Where are the moms who have such a stake in this issue? So over kitchen table conversations and such, they founded this group. Not to, counteract what any other group is doing, but just to lift up a voice that's been a little too quiet.
So I gather, feeling that the conversation was dominated largely by males, largely by environmental experts, and not necessarily anybody who looked like you and me, or actually maybe more like you than me.
More like, yes. One of the founding ideas of Mothers Out Front is that the stories matter, that the heart and the feelings of this matter.
Okay.
I'm not a climate change expert, but I know enough to know that my children's future is not being taken care of by our leaders, and I need to speak up.
Okay. Currently, one of the projects that Mothers Out Front is working on is entitled Power Up for Our Children's Future. Its mission is to encourage Massachusetts to be the first state in the Union to commit to meeting its energy needs through conservation, through efficiency, through renewables. And I should say, its new energy needs, yes? That is to say, any above and beyond what current levels are?
Well, correct, and above and beyond any structure that now exists.
Okay. How can we best do that? I gather that there have already been two conversations that representatives from the group have had with Governor Patrick. How has he greeted the mission of Mothers Out Front?
Well, so Governor Patrick is already very progressive on these issues. He introduced the Global Warming Solutions Act and the Green Jobs Act, and has done a lot. Massachusetts leads in energy efficiency already. What we are trying to ask him, what we are asking him to do, is to sign an executive order to the effect that Massachusetts would meet all its new energy needs with renewables and build no more fossil fuel infrastructure. So he has definitely noticed us. We're on his radar screen, and he has said he will think about it.
Okay. It's obviously a tough time, because here we are in the run-up to a gubernatorial election. Governor Patrick will be here for just a brief snippet of time. Do you have a sense as to what the current candidate's position might be on climate change, on really getting serious about it, trying to address the issues? The Kinder Morgan fracked gas pipeline leaps immediately to mind, but a sense of what those candidates, what their positions are on climate change and how they might embrace the work of Mothers Out Front.
Well, my sense is that none of the leading candidates have really spoken out boldly enough on this topic. You would expect the Democrats to be more, more progressive on it. That is not necessarily the case, but I'll just say that we're watching them. We have had conversations with the candidates. We've attended the forums for the candidates. So our attention may very well shift more to the candidates in the coming months.
Sure. But certainly they know of Mothers Out Front. they know of your position, and they know that you'll likely come calling come January.
Yes, they do.
Okay, fair enough. So working at the state level is obviously a very important part of the mission of Mothers Out Front, but you're also engaging mothers at the household level, encouraging Massachusetts families to switch to clean energy. How do we go about that? What's involved with that switch?
So the campaign is specifically about household electricity.
Okay.
And what we're asking people to do is go to the Mothers Out Front website, mothersoutfront.org, follow a few simple clicks of the mouse
Right.
to the Mass Energy Alliance website. So we're partnered with Mass Energy. It's a nonprofit organization that does renewable energy and also low-cost heating oil. And you sign up for one of two programs there, either 100% Massachusetts wind or another program which has a mix of different renewables. Click the button, and then in addition to your regular NSTAR bill, you get a separate bill that says this is what you paid for your green energy. In my household, it's about $10 a month.
Okay.
Many households, it'll be a little cheaper. We estimate it's around $200 a year premium to get renewable energy in your home.
Okay. So effectively, what those dollars are doing is funding startup for clean energy in the state.
Correct.
Okay.
All the money from Mass Energy goes to building new renewable sources in Massachusetts. And technically there's no way you can get exactly those, ions into your house. What you're doing is buying a credit for that amount of energy. And the state has a mandate to buy renewable energy first. So the more people ask for renewable energy, the more will be used. And basically, we're increasing the demand for that renewable energy.
And effectively, we're voting, if you will, with our dollars and saying that this is something that we believe strongly in and we're willing to help fund collectively.
Yes, similar to buying a Prius or organic vegetables or anything like that.
Sure. For mothers potentially interested in getting involved, I gather the first step is to attend a house party. My sense is that you want to get away from the onerous sort of feel of a meeting, yes, and make it a little bit more playful, a little bit more about engagement than it is about task-oriented. Yeah.
It's very much about building relationships.
Yeah.
And a house party is an evening in a friend's house. Takes about 2.5 hours. Usually there's a little food, a little chit-chat. Then there's a presentation where we talk about Mothers Out Front, a little bit about climate change, and there's a lot of sharing among the mothers, what brought them there, what are their concerns, what kind of time do they have to devote to something, and that can be anything from, an hour a month to 2 days a week.
Sure. Anything else you can imagine useful for viewers, either to know about the group, Mothers Out Front, or to become more involved in the climate change challenge?
So Mothers Out Front can be contacted through our website, mothersoutfront.org. There's an Arlington Facebook page, which is called Arlington Mothers Out Front. So those are just ways to find out more about us and begin to, gauge if you want to get involved with us. Climate change in general, I would say to just begin to pay attention. My own story is that I've known about climate change for a long time. I've been concerned. I drive a Prius, I recycle, I turn off my lights. But as my daughter went through school and I started to be able to envision the future more clearly because she was going to be in it, my conscience started to bother me more and more. Surely I could be doing more. And as I watched our leaders on every level fail to take action, it started to seem more imperative that I do something. So when she left for college, I decided my empty nest project was to put myself forward. And I knew I couldn't do it by myself. And I found Mothers Out Front, And now I'm kind of like the unlikely activist. Like, I never really did something before, but now I've spoken on Boston Common, I've gone to the climate march, I've talked to friends about switching their electricity, and it feels very good to be taking an action. So I would say even the smallest action, write a letter to the governor, write a letter to the candidates, and urge them to take bold action, because that's what needs to happen now. It's not hopeless, but it's urgent.
Over 140 years ago, the first Mother's Day was celebrated in Boston. With the Civil War recently over, the day was a challenge to mothers across the country to dedicate themselves to peace, so that war might never again claim sons and fathers, brothers and husbands. Today, another call from mothers to mothers comes from Boston. It challenges us to together take up the work of creating a livable future for our children, for our grandchildren. By all reports, it's work that needs to begin today. So let's get out there. For Ann Goodwin and Mothers Out Front, I'm Peter Bermudez for Arlington Public News.